And the 2-2 is popped up. In comes Morel from third, and he will make the catch. And Rowan Wick picks up the save here, pitching for the first time as a big leaguer in his home country. And he's got the baseball to prove it. The Cubs take the final game of the series. The Blue Jays winning the first two. And an off day tomorrow for the Blue Jays before they start up again in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's difficult to give up a game like this, but they didn't get much going with the Mets. A couple of home runs, that's all they could muster. A 2-run shot by Kevin Biggio, a 3-run home run by Alejandro Kirk, and he'll have tomorrow to regroup a bit before they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates on Friday night.
As always, we thank you for watching the Blue Jays and the Pirates Friday night at the beginning of a long road trip. Right now it's time to send you to Sportsnet Central with Faisal and Jesse.
Welcome inside the Sportsnet Central studios. Jays postgame is on. Straight ahead. First reminder, Yankees-Angels are in action right now on Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet Now. Will join the game in progress following the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the studio. Facing me, so Jesse Fuchs here with you. It's a tough loss for the Jays, who found a way to win a couple games in the series despite being down and at least relieve the tension amongst the fan base for a couple days. With a day off tomorrow, I imagine there'll be some takes, but taking 2 out of 3 after getting swept, pretty good. I think people are still dwelling on that Angels series. You have to look at each thing on its own. You got to compartmentalize. It's 2 of 3 against the Cubs, and that's still pretty good. And I got to admit, I believe in the magic of the rally cap. I was still believing down to the final strike. Maybe it has to be red. I don't know. Yeah, maybe just the red jerseys. But it's a good effort from the Blue Jays. Not to be a significant loss, too, given what's happening in the wild card race. We'll show you that coming up later in the show. But for now, let's send it back to Rogers Center with Jamie, Joe, and Caleb.
Thank you, Jesse. The final 2 games of this series saved by Canadians, 1 for each team. And over the course of this homestand against the Angels and the Cubs, 2 and 4. Not good enough against non-contenders. The reason they're not good enough in the final game of this series has a lot to do with the starting pitcher, Mitch White. Why?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just where he went in terms of with his pitches using the fastball. I love the fact that when he first came up, when he first made his debut against the Twins, he used that inner lane, and he used it effectively to create some room for error for those off-speed pitches. Look, when you have 3 elite pitches, you can just go to the top. You can go down below. You can go to the other side. But when you have 3 good Major League pitches, you've got to do something on the inner lane, and he didn't do that. He didn't do it against the LA Angels, and he didn't do it again tonight. Only 3 inside fastballs to left-handed batters. He didn't throw a single changeup to the lefties today. And remember, guys, this was a deadline acquisition to replace Yusei Kikuchi. And some might think, oh, well, it's just the 5th starter. Don't worry about it. Games are at a premium. Have you checked the wild card standings lately? Every single game matters. And what Mitch White has got to do is use the inner lane. A lot of people like to draw the Ross Stripling comparison. Well, what does Ross do? He uses the inner lane to create room for error with the off-speed pitches away. When he went inside today, especially to the right-handed batters, 3 pitches inside, 3 outs. Keep it up. He's using the fastball up way too much. I like the fact that he used the curveball. It's a really good pitch for him. But until you get those hitters leaking out over trying to cheat to get to that inner fastball, it's going to be tough sledding. They need production out of this 5th starter, and they've got to get it quick because it's ruining the bullpen, and they have no chance to win these games.
Well, and they went out and got this guy at the trade deadline too, right? So they knew the struggles of Kikuchi at the time. Stripling was coming off the IL shortly, but this is a guy that they hoped would slot in. And it's not working so well. Kikuchi was not working very well at all, but Mitch White's had a couple tough ones in a row now, and they do need more. Every game does count. I'll be the first one to say it's the back end of the rotation. You get what you can get, but they need a little bit more than that. You can't be giving up 6 and 7 runs a night and hand this to your bullpen. And let's say the offense could be much better against the Chicago Cubs, but at the same time, the starting pitcher has to be better too.
Well, the Blue Jays may have lost, but the kids who are impacted by the Jays Care Foundation won big thanks to a fishing trip with Buck Martinez. Let's take it up to the broadcast booth. Dan and Buck, take it away.
Yeah, that's one of the highlights of the night. Obviously, over $75,000 raised for Jays Care just on the Buck Martinez fishing trip. Great night for the Jays Care Foundation. Not a great homestand for the Blue Jays. Yeah, they take 2 out of 3 for the Cubs, but they lost all 3 to the Angels, 2-4 against non-contending teams. Not what they were hoping for.
Not at all. You come back from a 7-game road trip, 6-1 through Boston and New York, and you expect a better turnout against these two teams, and they just didn't string hits together, and they had some questionable plays, obviously, in the Angels series. They tightened things up in the Cubs series for sure. They played much better baseball, but they didn't string hits together. I think that's the real trademark of this team, is when they start getting base hits after base hits after base hits. Yeah, they scored 5 runs on 2 home runs tonight, just 2 swings of the bat, but they need to string hits together a little bit more consistently to beat the better ball clubs. And after the Pirates, they're going to see nothing but better ball clubs.
Yeah, a lot of Baltimore, a lot of Tampa Bay coming in the last 3 weeks of the season. 2 teams that are right there competing with the Blue Jays for playoff spots. Back to you.
Dan, when you look at the entirety of the homestand, a homestand where the Blue Jays only won 2 games, you see a lot of less than major league caliber plays. And we saw one, Joe, in the 2nd inning of this game. Explain why you were so frustrated watching it.
This is the classic 1st and 3rd defense of the double steal. Now, you as a catcher are putting a sign on that you get from the bench. What are you doing here? If the guy runs, you have choices. Usually it's one is going to be to throw through. Another might be to pump fake, check that runner at 3rd. Now, the shortstop can also have the option to come and get that ball if the runner breaks and come home. But Bo Bichette had no chance. Look where the runner on 3rd base is. He is way off the bag because the 3rd baseman Chapman's way off. But Kirk did not even look or have any idea where the runner at 3rd base was. And you have to know the situation of the game. This is early. It's 2 strikes on the hitter with 2 runners on. You know they're going to try to bait you, and Kirk and the Blue Jays bit the bait. That just can't happen. You know that if you're throwing through, you have to peak in that situation. If I got the sign to throw through there, I'd be looking in the bench saying, are you sure? Like, this isn't ideal here. Because there are times in the game, if you're up 7-1 late in the ball game and you want to give up that run for the out, you'll take it. That's no problem. But not early in the game like that. You don't give away a run like that.
Yeah, that's it. Something got miscommunicated there, whether it was Kirk, whether he threw or it was just a bad play. I mean, you're not trading a run for an out. Like Joe said, when you've got extra bases to handle, you're going to do that. But something broke down. And look, runs are at a premium. There always are. And early in the game, you're not going to trade that. And reality is, they kind of fell back into that sloppy play. Even though it was just one play, that was 1 run. And when we did our update, the game was within 1 run. Yes. And you just never know what happens if they execute it, if Mitch White is able to strike out that next batter. You just never know. The momentum shifts and the momentum changes, because I don't know if you guys saw that video. The 3rd base coach, he was clapping. He was excited. He was ready to go. They executed a play. They stole a run. And you just don't know ebbs and flows of a game, what can happen with those momentum shifts.
The last road trip the Blue Jays went on was highly successful. They need this one to be as well, and it is a long one. It begins Friday night in Pittsburgh, and we hope you will join us for Blue Jays Central at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific time, as we send it back to Jesse and Faisal.